Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Jonathan Proctor and today we're diving deep into a crucial cybersecurity topic, Windows Boot Manager revocations for Secure Boot. If you're in the IT world or just somebody concerned about maintaining robust security practices, this is a video you don't want to miss. So let's get started. So what exactly is CVE 2023-24932? It is associated with the BlackLotus UEFI bootkit, which undermines secure boot by executing code at the UEFI level, posing persistent security risks. Updating the boot manager and secure boot configurations is vital for protection. Protections for the secure boot bypass are included in Windows as long as they've been patched since April 2024. However, these protections are not enabled by default, and once they are enabled, affects the way IT can boot media to build computers. So customers must enable the protections, and once enabled, cannot roll them back. If you are responsible for the enablement in your environment, then this video is for you. Now that we understand the gravity of the vulnerability, let's talk about how to address it. The solution involves several key steps. We need to install the latest ADK and Windows PE add-on, which will be dated at the time of this video, May 2024. We need to mount the ADK WinPE file and extract the updated EFI and other files with the latest signed certificates. Then we're going to generate a new boot media. And finally, applying the mitigation, safe in the knowledge that we can rebuild the device as we have an updated boot image. So let's get into the demo. So if we go to part 1, we can see that I've referenced the ADK, a download link to Microsoft's Download Center. What we're looking for, the bootx64.efi file signed with the 2023 certificate. And if you'd like to read more about it, there's a link here to the Microsoft site. But what I've done is I've produced a script that should make the whole process a lot easier. So if we copy the script and open up ICE, let's talk about the script. So at the top here, I've created a variable and linked it or referenced it to a directory on the root of the C drive. I then created another variable and referenced the ADK installation directory. A third variable that references the ADK path plus the Windows PE installation directory. And then finally a test. Is ADK installed? If it is, great. If it's not, it's going to tell you. And then finally, if the mount directory isn't present, it's going to create it. So let's run that. If I come to the root of the C drive, we can see that it's just created this mount directory. So now we're safe in the knowledge that we have ADK and WinPE installed. Let's mount the winpe.win file. This process will typically take a minute or so, depending on your system. So I will pause the video. Now that the WinPE file has mounted, let's have a look at it. So if we come into Windows, Boot, we can see a number of folders. And if we look inside the EFI_EX folder, scroll down and have a look at the boot mgfw_ex file. We can see it's signed with the 2023 certificates. And if I circle back to my blog and click on the Microsoft link, how to create bootable media, we can see that we are looking at the ADK WinPE directory. We're mounting the Win file, and we will need to copy various files from the mounted Win to the ADK installation path. Let's copy those files. Nice and quick. The Microsoft page details the 2023 files, but also the 2011 files, should you need to create Bootmedia pre-mitigation as opposed to post-mitigation. So within the script, I've also included a section in which we will copy the 2011 pre-mitigation EFI files into the ADK installation directory, but we will tag it with a 2011 extension so they cannot be used, but we can easily reference them and use them in the future without having to mount the WinPE file again. So we copy those two over. And finally, we will dismount the Win. This will take a few minutes and I'll pause the video. So now that WinPE has dismounted, let's go back to the blog. So on part 2, there is a script. So let's copy this and open in ICE. First thing to point out is the requirement for the PowerShell module OSD, which is created by David Segura, OSD Cloud. We're defining two variables, one for a working space, one for a mount directory. Again, we're looking for the ADK installation directory and the WinPE installation directory, and then a check. And if it doesn't find them, it will let you know. And finally, if the working directory, the workspace, and the mount directory are missing, it will create them. Let's open up Explorer, and we can see we have our two directories created. Next, we'll come down and we will define a template name. In my case, I've called it x64, and it says if, and it's going to get all the template names, does not contain mine, create it. As I've previously run this script, it's already been created. For you, this will take several minutes as it runs through the processes. See David Segura's blog to understand more about these templates and these commandlets. Finally, I will run OSD Cloud Workspace against my defined working space above. Now I'll be copying my template over to my workspace directory. This won't take very long at all. That's now complete. And let's create a USB key. Plugged into my USB port, I have a standard USB key. It has found it, the SanDisk 32 gigs, disk number 1. I will select 1, enter. Yes, I understand it will erase all the data. This formats the drive and copies the working space over to the USB stick. The directory structure should look familiar to the first part of the video, in which we extracted files from WinPE and placed them in the ADK working directory under Media. It has copied over the winpe.wim file and renamed it to boot.wim. This USB stick will contain a unedited WinPE image ready to be imported into Config Manager. But let's have a look at the USB stick. So it's assigned the drive letter of E. We can scroll down and the structure should look very familiar to you. If we look at sources, we can see the boot.wim, which was the winpe.wim that we mounted and extracted files from earlier. If we scroll up to the EFI folder, boot, scroll down to the bootx64.efi, show more options, properties, digital signatures, details, view certificate, we can see that it's signed with the 2023 certificate. This boot stick in its current state is ready to boot a machine that has applied the CVE mitigations. If you were to use this boot stick on a machine that hasn't applied the mitigations, it would not load. In order to resolve that issue, we can copy the original bootx64EFI file signed with the 2011 certificate and copy it back onto the USB stick. In my case, my USB stick is drive letter E, so please make sure you change the drive letter accordingly. Upon running this, it will copy the files over and overlay this file, and then you can boot the computer pre-mitigation. Going back to the blog, I can only advise you to look at garytown.com and look at his remediation task sequence entry. You can simply download the zip file for his latest task sequence here. I will be producing a new video in which I will be looking at Gary Town's task sequence in detail and how it applies the mitigation. Thank you for watching. If you found the video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more EUC tips and updates. If you have any questions or need further assistance, feel free to leave a comment below or reach out to me directly. Thank you very much.